Whew. Good morning. I hope that everybody had a good weekend. It is chilly in Florida currently. It is definitely below the normal temperature here. We woke up to it in the high 30s, so not too much complaining here, but definitely colder than expected in Tampa Bay. That's not the point of this video today, though. Something else happened over the weekend here, not just impacting Florida, but also all of the entire United States. And if you weren't aware of the impact of this mass tragedy, then I really, really think you should count your blessings, because the impacts of the disaster that took place over the weekend have far outweighed many of the things that we've experienced in the past few years here even. It pains me to even talk about, but somebody's got to talk about it. So here we are to talk about the new installation that took place in Boston this weekend. As many of you know, the installation, when it was revealed, I believe was on Friday, because everybody was talking about it all weekend long. It might have been on Saturday. It really sent shockwaves across the nation of people who were devastated, demoralized even, discovering the sanctity of their beautiful nation had been besmirched by this new installation. Two arms embracing each other, which from certain perspectives and angles could look like giant ding-dongs and dookie monsters. No city should be forced to endure this kind of suffering. I need a moment. All right. Okay. All right. No, but seriously though. So what we had over the weekend was this art installation of two arms look like they're embracing each other. And yeah, I'll be honest, it is unflattering from certain angles. That's very true. And I'll even admit, yeah, I kind of had a chuckle a little bit about it over the weekend. But then I started to realize something about the nature of the posts that were being had about it. It was one of those things where, people started naturally responding with their opinions and thoughts of it, that they did not like it. Fair enough, reasonable. That's cool. They go on and they go forth, talking about how bad it is and how indistinguishable it is, and how if you have to explain art to people and then it's not good, or saying that basically that, it got to the point online where people were accusing it of being satanic because of how ugly it was, because because the devil creates ugly things to make fun of beauty, because beauty represents God. And I will just say, boy, they took that every which way direction that they possibly could online, and that's fair enough. But I started to realize a theme in the pattern of not only the things that were being said about the structure, but also the type of people who were making comments about the structure. And it's not a racial thing, because I saw many people from many different races criticizing the sculpture, saying how silly it looks. And I'll be honest with you. Apparently, I just found this out this morning, a few moments ago. It's actually a representation of Malcolm, Martin Luther and Coretta Scott King embracing each other in a hug from a photo from the 60s. And I saw somebody, specifically the redhead libertarian, post saying that if it's a meme, like a meme, if you have to explain it, then it didn't work. And you know what? That may have some truth to it. But much like that, if you have an aesthetic elective procedure done on your face, like Botox or a facelift, and we can tell very easily that you've had that work done, maybe that didn't work either. Somebody should probably tell her that. Not me, though. But beyond that point, it's gotten to the point where I just realized that a lot of people who don't have an ounce of talent in their body were trying to claim that this required or had no tact, no artistic credibility to it whatsoever. And I'm all for art criticism. I'm even for saying what you like and what you don't like. But when you claim that somebody who creates something is talentless, you should at least have some type of reasoning and rationale to back that up beyond, I don't like it or it looks like a poopy. Let me explain to you what I mean. You can create something hideous to everybody but yourself. But if you took 1,000 hours to painstakingly place each particle of whatever the structure is that you created, you cannot say that it did not take art and tact to create. You cannot say that it did not take some level of skill to create. We are looking at a giant bronze casting of massive arms embracing each other. No matter how ugly it is, you still have to admit that there is some type of talent to that. The Hudson Yard structure is stupid looking. Objectively, most people don't know what it is, don't know where it is, and don't know what it represents. Well, I'll tell you right now, apparently it's supposed to represent a well. Does it look like a well? No. Does it function like a well? No. Does it appear where a well would be? No. In what way does it represent a well? Well, there's a spiraling downward staircase, just like wells have. Oh, wait, but they don't. Okay, well, I can say objectively, based off of this being a representation of a well, that this structure here in front of the Hudson Yard makes no sense. But I can't say that it didn't take talent, art, tact, and skill to create it. How do you build something like that? Could I build something like that? Could you build something like that? If you think that something takes no talent to create, unless it's a mess, like unless it's like a splatter that can't be recreated, like meaning something random that happened, like if somebody drops a water balloon full of paint off of a two-story building and then calls whatever the splatter effect is on the ground art, you cannot necessarily recreate the actual splatter effect, but you can recreate the process, right? Therefore, you have validity to criticize it and say that it takes this much skill. It doesn't require no skill. It requires at least enough skill that you can prepare the same methods to do what the artist did. Well, the exact same thing happens with a giant bronze cast of two ugly arms holding poop. You have to do everything that leads up to that in order to create it. Can you do that? Do you know how to do that? No? If not, then you still have a right to speak. But just know that when you're saying that it's talentless or it requires nothing or it's objectively artistically bankrupt, you should at least be able to produce something of equal or higher quality or value artistically. Can you do that? Can you do that? Just a thought. Good morning.